We are hours away from the final chapter of the Harkles horrormentary, and Netflix decided to drop a final trailer only on Twitter. But strangely enough, Harry is absolutely missing from this one. So, maybe Meghan told him to sit this one out? But once you see the contents of this trailer, maybe you will understand why this happened. Welcome back, my Body Language buddies. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Body Language guy. And in the opening scene, we see this. There was a real kind of war. You know, they have in using this kind of concepts and symbols. And there was this war against Meghan as she was under attack. A real kind of war, like not a metaphor or not something that she can just shrug off as a strong woman. No. This was a war on her. But from who? You remember that in my previous analysis of the second trailer, there was this ambiguity that if the institution that they were referring to was the British media or Buckingham Palace, the firm. Well, I think Netflix noticed that there was some kind of confusion about this, so they decided to, clear that up. The real kind of war against Meghan, and of course, which shot do they include? They include Buckingham Palace. Those are the ones attacking her, and they're gonna be much more explicit in seconds. And I've certainly seen evidence that there was negative briefing from the palace. And this is Jenny Afia, Meghan's attorney that is talking on her behalf. But notice the wording. I've certainly seen evidence. She has certainly seen evidence. Where is that evidence? There has been published zero evidence about those attacks. That there was negative briefing from the palace. Okay, there's no games, there's no ambiguity anymore. The palace, they're talking about Buckingham Palace, obviously, against Harry and Meghan to suit other people's agendas. And this is when she tries to, soften that a bit. Other people's agendas. You mean a third party? Who can be a third party in this game? We have the royal family or the firm, and we have Harry and Meghan. Who is the third party, the other people's agendas? Maybe that is the mainstream media, the British tabloids. What I notice in terms of body language is that Afia shows here a subtle denial with her head. Look at her. She's denying with her head right there, right before affirming people's agendas. So for a split second, she has this contradiction. I've told you many times that this gesture could be that she is emphasizing something, but she doesn't look like she is emphasizing something, and there's nothing in her verbal expression that could be emphasized. And at the same time, she denies and immediately goes nodding. So that's a bit of a contradiction. I think she was a bit reluctant, just like Doria, which I analyzed yesterday, and she was not that sure, not that confident of what she was saying. Maybe it was happening the same with Jenny Afia. Now, the accusations became direct. But Meg became this scapegoat for the palace. This is direct. And of course, Buckingham Palace on the background. And so they would feed stories on her. Buckingham Palace would feed stories to the mainstream media, to the British tabloids about Meghan. Why? And this is in the words of Lucy Fraser, a friend, an actual friend of Meghan, and that's why she calls her Meg. And so they would feed stories on her whether they were true or not. So you're saying, or Lucy Fraser is claiming, that Buckingham Palace was planting lies, false stories on Meghan, and they are including this in the horrormentary. Now, if we learn something from the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial, is that this is hearsay. How do you know that there were lies? How do you know that they were feeding that? Who are you to know that? Okay, Meghan sat you there and told, hey Lucy, can you read the script please? It's easy, just look at the camera, read the teleprompter and read these lines and you're good to go. Oh, thank you, you're so kind. But still, if it's Lucy Fraser, zero credibility on these matters, they included that on the horrormentary to send a message. So they would feed stories on her, whether they were true or not, to avoid other less favorable stories being printed. So they basically used Meghan as a wall. And then there comes Meghan herself in the flesh. You would see it play out. A story about someone in the family would pop up for a minute and they'd go, "We gotta make that go away." But there's real estate on a website homepage, there's a real estate there on a newspaper front cover, and something has to be filled in there about someone royal. Now, this is complete nonsense because she says a story about someone in the family would pop up for a minute. How could a breaking story pop up for just a minute? Do you think that because they publish stories on you, those stories about the family are going to just disappear? That doesn't work that way, and much less with the royal family. And they'd go, "We gotta make that go away." So they'd go, she's referring to the royal family, the firm. We have to delete that bad press in one way or another. And she's implying that there was bad press about the royal family because the royal family should have been doing shenanigans or acting badly in some way. By the way, don't you find it funny that Meghan hasn't mentioned Prince Andrew yet? Well, we gotta make that go away. But there's real estate on a website homepage. There's real estate on a newspaper front cover. Yeah, because they are going to print the newspapers and the royal family would say, "Hey, recall all those newspapers, reprint them and send them again with Meghan's bad news." I think that anybody with an IQ of at least room temperature would see that this is bollocks. And something has to be filled in there about someone royal. She's implying that she is royal. Oh, how cute, Meg. Tell me more about that. You were royal for 72 days. You mean for those 72 days, this was the strategy of the royal family to use you as their scapegoat? This barrage of negative articles about the breakdown of the relationship with her father was the final straw in a campaign of negative, nasty coverage about her. So they are implying, you are implying that everything that was said about Thomas Markle was planted by the firm, by the royal family to erase other topics about themselves? Maybe Meghan forgot to mention, and I'm sure that we are not gonna see this in tomorrow's horrormentary airing, that the paparazzi that set Thomas Markle up for all this works for an agency that has worked with Meghan in the past. Such a coincidence. Now, don't you find odd that in none of these statements Harry appears? He is mentioned, but he doesn't say a word in here. Maybe, just maybe, Harry knew that all these are lies and, well, he decided to, pass on this. I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. My body language buddies, remember that tomorrow in a few hours I will be hosting a private watch party for the final 3 chapters of this horrormentary, only on my locals community that you can join for free. But this private watch party, for reasons of copyright that I don't want to get in trouble, they're gonna be only for my supporters. So there's plenty of content there for free. But the Harkles Horrormentary private watch party will be only for my lovely supporters. So if you want to join me to share the pain, well, you can join as a supporter right now with the link in the description of this video. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas, and remember, much love and bliss.